Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Solo, a Star Wars story. Obviously, this is the spin-off, in a sense, a solo film from the regular saga films. This came out in 2018. 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and yeah, this is one of those kind of controversial films that was considered a failure in when it comes to Star Wars films. And yeah, if it makes hundreds of millions of dollars, uh, more than most films make on average, and it's a Star Wars film, it's considered a failure. If it's not making almost in the low billions, then there's a problem apparently. And some people claim that, oh, maybe this is because it was a bad movie. And I always see people online going, you know what? They just make this comment out of nowhere. Like, I see this on a regular basis on a number of the Star Wars sites and groups I belong to. And they're like, you know what? I actually like that Solo movie. Well, yeah. If you're a Star Wars fan, uh, I don't see anybody ever really having a real problem with it. I think there was the attitude that you had to hate it, that you had to be like, you know what, well, yeah, this doesn't fit into my canon. I think there was an attitude that the people that were rebelling against Ryan Johnson's The Last Jedi is what crushed it. We're just like, oh, they're just so angry and disappointed that we're just going to have to boycott the rest of the Star Wars films. Everything that comes out from Lucasfilm, we're just going to have to just not see it because we're true Star Wars fans. No. At best, the failure of this film has kind of kept a sequel from happening. That could have happened much more easily had it performed on the level of most other Star Wars saga films. But I think more than anything that has affected this film is the fact that it came out 6 months after The Last Jedi. It was kind of a rush production. It had a rough production because it was originally supposed to be done by Lord and Miller, directed by them. They were dropped from the production due to differences in direction. I think they were going for a much more fast and loose, humorous take, which they are very good at. I love those guys. They do some great films. They are responsible for some astounding things, not the least of which is Into the Spider-Verse with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, going all the way back to Clone High, things like that. So it's them being dropped from the project and then being taken over by Ron Howard, who has a close connection to the Lucasfilm family. He's known George forever. Not that George is directly involved in all this, but it's still the idea that this is still George's baby, and to hand it off to somebody at the last minute to just sort of cram a movie out in a certain window, which unfortunately this was had to be done, apparently. Well, who better to hand it over to than somebody who knows and cares about the characters and the world that George made than one of his own friends. I mean, Ron's daughter has even gone on to direct episodes of The Mandalorian. Bryce Dallas Howard, the star of the Jurassic World series. So you see, there's a lot of. If anybody was going to do it right, at the last minute and sort of almost refilm the entire film, pretty much, it was going to be Ron, and I think he did an astounding job. Again, when people talk about Solo, it's loaded with the idea that, sorry, my eye is bothering me. It's loaded with the idea that it somehow had to be bad because we're all very angry at Disney Star Wars. Yeah, no, we are not. They're the loudest, most obnoxious people are the haters. Yes, absolutely. They make the loudest noise, and of course, well, then that must be the way people think. That must be the way things are. It is not the case. They're just louder, and yeah, awful people. But that's not even. We're barely even talking about the movie itself. What makes this good? I mean, yes, we had the problems being made. We had the problems with the timing. Again, biggest part is the fact that it was another Star Wars movie 6 months later, which is to me is not a problem. You could bring out a Star Wars movie every month, but that's kind of what they're doing with Disney Plus now. Just like Marvel, the idea is to keep people subscribing to that Disney Plus because you can have a much richer exploration of characters and the world. I mean, this movie itself is a huge world building kind of movie beyond what we know of the saga itself. In many ways, that's not many ways. It's every way. It's a great thing. But Disney Plus now has the ability to really flesh out characters that we didn't get to know before, like Mandalorian or Boba Fett, and hopefully someday Kira. And the thing is, this movie does set itself up for the idea of more stories with a young Han Solo. Yes, some people. One of the other complaints is it doesn't have it's Han Solo. It doesn't have Harrison Ford in it. Well, the man is like 80, 90. He's not going to be playing like a 30-year-old dude or a younger than Han Solo in A New Hope in 1977. There's no way. Yes, we could do the whole digital thing like they did with Luke in The Mandalorian, but can they do it for an entire movie? Would you want to see that in an entire movie? No. Again, a lot of the haters originally when it came to Last Jedi also were like, "Whoa, why don't we get Super Luke? Why don't we get all the Luke that can just kick butt and slash everybody with a lightsaber and do all that cool flipping around stuff? That's the Luke we want rather than depressed hermit Luke." Well, that's another whole other thing. But had my attitude has always been, if George Lucas had continued to make Star Wars movies and gotten around to doing 7, 8, 9 in the 90s, we might have gotten that kind of Luke. We might have gotten that kind of action-oriented Luke, and not a man who has lived a full life and lost something. And I'm talking about a totally different movie now, which is, sorry. Anyway, when it comes to this kind of movie, the same thing is you're not going to get Harrison Ford to play it. You get Alden, I'm going to say his name wrong, Aaron Rich. Aaron Rick or Aaron Rich? Alden Aaron Rich. Sorry, dude. So you get him. You have to come. I think he's a great choice. He carries himself like Han Solo, not necessarily Harrison Ford, but like Han Solo. You'd expect a young Han Solo. This Han Solo, by the way, has hope. He has a good feeling about this. You see him say that rather than "I have a bad feeling about this." He's a very different Han Solo than what we're used to in episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7. Spoilers. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we have a very different type of Han Solo here. He hasn't yet been completely broken, even though he has a horrendous growing up backstory, living almost Oliver Twist like as a servant of Lady Proxima, robbing people and running scams and doing all sorts of stuff while trapped on Corellia. Well, along with Kira, and their whole thing is, we're going to get out of here. That's what we're going to do. I mean, that's the whole gist of this. We're going to get out of this life of crime and oppression, and there's human trafficking and everything else. I mean, there's little kids doing this kind of work, and they're all fighting against each other to be able to get the best rations, or at least any rations they can get for the crimes they commit while on Corellia. So yeah, Han's been raised in this, and so has Kira, and they get out, but not together, and not in the same way. I'm not going to spoil everything for the movie for you, but I mean, honestly, you more than likely, if you wanted to see this movie, you would have already seen it. It's a kind of a big deal. So, but for the few of you who are like, well, I don't know about that Star Wars movie where the Solo doesn't have a Harrison Ford in it, could you just drop the preconceptions or the weird expectations that were never going to happen? You're not going to have young Han Solo played by Harrison Ford. It's just get it out of your head and get that disappointment, that pre-disappointment that preconceived notion of disappointment that you have when it comes to something like that, which is just It's like you go in already hating the movie before you see it. That's what I get from some people. Like, what? Why do you go see movies then if you don't do it with, I don't know, for the fun of it? That's what I go see movies for. And anytime I can see something in the Star Wars universe, I'm happy for it. Obviously Mandalorian came along, and now we get Book of Boba Fett, and we're gonna get so many other things, Kenobi, and Andor. We're gonna see a bunch of stuff like that. I want to see, and I think some of the actors want to see. I hope that Alden has not been discouraged by this, because the dude did an amazing job as Han Solo. I want to see more of him as Han Solo. That's just the way it is. And someday, if we are lucky, yes, if we are lucky, we're going to see maybe some younger stories of Luke, younger stories of Leia. The icons that we grew up with are going to be played by other actors. It's just how it works. It's just how it's going to be. This is not an IP franchise. It's just going to go away. 100 years from the day that Star Wars came out, my bet is that they're going to redo the films in a sense, but maybe in a serialized way, with obviously all new actors. Or in 2077, it'll, maybe we'll have the technology where we'll just digitally recreate Hamill, Carrie, and Harrison, and everybody else, and all the voices. Make sure, unfortunately, pretty much all those actors will be gone by then, and we'll just be able to have all those voices, and they'll be able to remake all the films, and we'll all stand on a holodeck and watch them. Star Trek reference. So yeah, I mean, things are going to change. How things are handled. Just like I believe I've said this before, probably in another video, that someday they're going to remake the Harry Potter films. But if they're smart. If Warner Brothers is smart, they'll do a Harry Potter series that is fully fleshed out. Like every little subplot that they had to drop for the 2 hour time frame of a movie, they can really build upon in a series that they have on HBO Max or whatever. It's the kind of thing that it's the way it should be done. I mean, we're getting to a point now that after sitting inside for a year and a half, we realize that television storytelling is almost better than film storytelling, in quality, in depth, and in exploration of characters and things like that. We've discovered this, and it can be done well in a decent budget, and also maybe an expensive budget, because God knows these things aren't cheap with all the effects and things. Even with the Marvel stuff as well. Things are going to change. The big blow up blockbuster kind of things, yes, keep those in the films. I want to keep going to the movie theaters for those kind of things. Yeah, we're going to keep doing that. But when it comes to deep storytelling, I think I would love to see a sequel to Solo that has Alden, that has Emilia Clarke as Kira. We won't have Woody Harrelson, spoiler. Donald Glover, I would love to see Donald Glover come back as Lando. And I think he would hopefully want to come back as Lando, because he's a fan. He's been a fan since he was a kid. I think it's just the negative reaction that the film got. Just, I don't know, the needless negative reaction that the film got, or the lack of people going to see it reaction. Because I guess people thought, it's not part of the saga. Maybe I just don't need to go see it. I'll wait till it comes out on video. Maybe, but world has changed since 2018. Who knows how it will work out? Let's talk more about the actual cast and the film and stuff like that. Obviously, it's chock full of characters and actors you'll recognize. Tandy Newton, Woody Harrelson. We got Phoebe Waller-Bridge as L337, and we got Paul Bettany Vision as Dryden Voss. We have I'm going to say Jon Favreau is Rio. He's a CGI character with all the arms, but Jon Favreau, of course, went on to do The Mandalorian, and he was also in Clone Wars and things like that. And also Aaron Kellyman, which you might recognize as the bad guy in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. Curly red hair, you can't miss her. Uh, I won't say who she played, but if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, there's a ton of great cast in this that makes it worth revisiting, and hopefully we'll see more with characters like Enfys Nest and Kira, obviously, and that special surprise appearance by a certain Sith Lord, or not a Sith Lord. He's not a Sith Lord, but okay. Let's just say Darth Maul. We're gonna hopefully see more from Darth Maul in the future, live action. Let's go for that. Let's shoot for that. Come on, Lucasfilm. Let's do that. But stunning cast, and of course, this movie was made. I mean, there's so many freaking Easter eggs in it, but it's the kind of thing that, yeah, I mean, you. It's kind of almost the point of the film because you're answering questions, you're filling in holes in the backstory of a character we know and love. Characters, as in Han and Chewie. We get to see how they meet. We get to see how he meets Lando, how he gets the Millennium Falcon, how the Kessel Run was done in 12 parsecs, not of measurement of time, but a measurement of distance, and how that all works out. So there's big action. It's directed beautifully. A lot of handheld camera work, moving through some of these shots, rather than just something on a dolly or just sitting still. It's kind of amazingly done. There's great humor throughout. It's a a multiple heist movie with betrayal and death and everything else at every turn. So it has the quality of any kind of movie we'd love. It just has a sheen of Star Wars over top of it. So and it's done well with likable characters, great actors. So I kind of really I'm surprised that I really liked it. What are you surprised about? And what did you wait for? What did you think that you were gonna get? You heard other people talk about it, that you had that their opinion was that, you know what, it's probably bad because the Last Jedi and stuff. Don't listen to those idiots. Listen to yourself. You love Star Wars? Go see Star Wars. Comes in the theaters, shows up on Disney Plus. Watch it if you love Star Wars. It's just the way it works. I mean, when I was a kid, an adult, Star Wars ended in 1983, and sure we had the Ewok stuff on TV and things like that, but it wasn't the Star Wars with the characters that we love, or even a continuation of the saga that we know. It's just it's a side story with little kids and furry bears in the woods, and we had cartoons with droids and everything else. Yes, those were all great. There was nothing wrong with those, but I want to see more Luke and Leia and Han. It's and also what comes after. So yeah, and even if it means going back into their past, I want to see more of those characters. And yeah, it's you throw something Star Wars in front of me, I'm gonna go see it, and I'll judge it on my own tastes and on its own merits, rather than what people assume that it should be, or assume that it better be. In my head canon, that kind of stuff. We don't need that kind of BS. It's just a waste of time. So yeah, if you love Star Wars, even if you don't love Star Wars, you can still enjoy this movie. It's, again, if you like action heist films, yes, it's gonna there's a train heist in this thing. It's like it's the Old West. There's so many. I mean, Han Solo is a cowboy. It's yeah, where the Jedi are samurai, and we got all the Kurosawa stuff in that. We also got our spaghetti western type stuff with the cowboy sharpshooter that we get in Han Solo, and it is big hairy sidekick Chewbacca. There's so many things to love about this, and so many wonderful things that it's grown out of. Yes, it's not a completely original concept, but what movie is, what TV show is, what song is, it grows out of something that we've been inspired by, that is wonderful. Otherwise, we wouldn't be inspired by it. And in this case, it's done really well. Yeah, there's some stuff that's made that it doesn't come off great, but this isn't one of those. I wanted to see the Millennium Falcon the way it looked when Han Solo got it from Lando, and again, there's so many little tiny details throughout this. I could spend another hour or two talking about every single little Easter egg. I'm sure there's enough articles on the web right now that will point them all out to you. That's, or even right here on Disney Plus, there's probably some behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, if you haven't seen this, it's time to give it a chance. It's a story of a character you love. Yes, it doesn't have Harrison Ford in it. Who cares? They're going to do an Indiana Jones film eventually in the future that's not going to have Harrison Ford in it. That's just the way it is, because Disney likes making money. And yeah, you can show your rebellious side by, I'm not going to see that unless you can clone Harrison Ford, age him up the exact age he was in 1981, and make him look like he was in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then have him act. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So set your expectations to reality, and you can enjoy this film. So, yeah, I highly recommend this film. I actually haven't seen this for a good number of years. I saw it a number of times in the theaters, but I haven't seen it probably since then. Maybe once on video, but it was a treat to watch it again. And it's the kind of thing that I think I could turn on anytime in the background and mean for it to be, just background noise, but I'll always get sucked in by it because it looks great, sounds great. Yes, it doesn't have John Williams doing the soundtrack, but there are a number of musical cues throughout it that you'll recognize from John Williams because they can't help themselves. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, little Duel of the Fates, a little bit of just the Star Wars theme at key moments that you'll recognize. So, yeah, Solo. It's time to watch it for the first time if you haven't watched it yet for whatever reason, or revisit it and go, that is a solid, on its own, standalone film. But there should be more. And Solo 2. Let's make Solo 2 or Disney Plus series. Just telling you right now, do it. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
14.
Really dipping down low. Oh, okay. Not sure. I mean, I think this is the direct-to-video sequel to the animated classic, the Renaissance era of Disney, but the sequel is from the post-Renaissance, and those are... we'll see. But we're going to watch Aladdin and the King of Thieves. So yeah, Aladdin, Jasmine, Abu, maybe Jafar is in this one as well. Who knows? And there's another sequel with Jafar. But yeah, Aladdin and the King of Thieves on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. That's what we're talking about tomorrow. See you then.